So what are you experiencing? What is the staff experiencing? What's it like?
Well, a lot of staff claim that they'll put a dish down on one area and then turn around, come back, and it's moved. Silverware just rearranged in odd positions.
So they don't see it move as much as it's just moved?
It's just moved, yeah.
Okay. What would you say are the places in the hotel that require the most focus?
Generally, in the old men's bathhouse. Back in the day, women would go to one side and do everything, men would go to the other. If you're a woman, you just feel unwelcome in there.
That makes sense.
And sometimes it is very aggressive.
In 1867, they discovered that there was an unusual water source under this town, and that it had all of these minerals in it that could be curative to people who had rheumatism and arthritis and other ailments. Then in 1884, a woman named Anna Shearbaum came here with her husband, and she was an invalid. She came here, took a series of baths, and suddenly was cured.
And that's why she became totally enamored with the place.
Yeah,
right?
and she convinced her husband to invest and build this hotel. So they opened this hotel, and it did huge business.
Yeah.
But then Anna Shearbaum passed away and put things into the hand of her son, Ben. Now, Ben Shearbaum loved the place and decided to settle in, and he married the daughter of a merchant, and they didn't get along well. She eventually left him about 4 years after they got married, and it sent him into a terrible spiral. And eventually, he just lost it. He had taken a shotgun and a curtain rod and pulled the trigger with it and blew his own head off. Downstairs, right off the hallway.
So what are some of the claims here?
It was like a Monday or Tuesday night. We were really slow. And I was behind the bar, and I happened to glance up at the upstairs dining room and happened to see like a woman. She had brown hair and like a white gown on. I came upstairs and was like, "Can I help you?" and stuff like that, but there was nobody up here and nobody answered.
The lady in white is usually seen. She has been a full apparition that people can actually say.
Really? Yeah, and all over the building, from out by the pool to down this main hallways, room 350.
Room 350, for sure.
Most recently, we had guests up here on the 3rd floor. They were laying in bed, and she felt something like holding her legs down. So she had woke her husband up, and once that pressure kind of relieved, they packed up their stuff. They did not want to stay here at all. We do have a lot of staff that don't like to come up here on the 3rd floor. We have a lot of housekeeping that won't use that end staircase because it kind of freaks them out.
The 1920s come along, and they had a new owner. His name was Conrad Pabin.
Okay.
And I've always described him as being one of those guys who was sort of obsessed with this place. He wanted to do everything he could to keep this place going. But the bad news was the stock market crashed and the depression hits, and none of it worked. Eventually, in '33, he committed suicide too. He took poison.
One of the first times when I realized that this place was, had things, I was actually upstairs on the 2nd level in here, and I heard my name. And I figured it was the cook at the front desk because he lives here. I said, "Greg, did you say my name?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Are you sure?" And he said, "Yeah, they're just letting you know they know your name."
Really? So when you heard your name called, was that a female voice that called you?
No, it was a male.
It was a male, okay.
I like to look at it as Tom Rogers. He was one of the last owners that killed himself here.
Eventually, Tom Rogers took over the hotel, and everybody knew him as kind of an eccentric. He was just an odd dude. And he just loved to be here and wander the hallways all the time and just wander around this place. Well, then one morning in 1962, the couple of staff members that he had came up to the room where he stayed in, and they found him dead in his room. Nobody really could explain it, but they just sort of let it go because he was just such a strange guy.